Welcome, my name is Ray Rigoglioso, and it is Tuesday, April 29th, 2014. This is a recap from our discussion group, Gay Men of Wisdom discussion group, last night. Our topic was owning and managing the shadow. So I invited men on the call to share their definitions for the term, because there can be many ways of looking at it. So here are some of the things we heard: that the shadow is something we are not aware of. It's something we repress, hide, or deny. And there is a dark, and there can also be a positive side to it as well. For one man, the shadow is objectifying men. That's his shadow. For another man, the shadow consists of those parts of himself that he wants to disown, those parts of himself that say, "That's not me." For another, it's the doubts and uncertainty that prevent himself from growing or moving forward, almost like the image of a shadow preventing a plant from growing. So I found a website that explored the shadow. This is kundalini-teacher.com, and this writer has an interesting perspective on the shadow, and mostly Carl Jung's version of it. And this teacher says the following: "You may believe that you are a spiritual person who is not cruel or unjust, but that belief is a blockage that casts a shadow that can blind you to the cruelty within your ego that is hidden. The shadow knows the ugly mirror of all that is. You are what you judge yourself not to be. You are what you judge others to be." So I then asked men on the call, well, how does the shadow show up among gay men? And immediately we went to the darker side of our gift of fine attunement to beauty. So we are very focused to beauty around us, and this also translates into an appreciation for the male form. Now, the shadow side of this um, results in the tendency for gay men to not notice people we are not sexually attracted to, and this can cause all sorts of problems on a social level, so that we miss entire swaths of men who we're not interested in having sex with. And this really becomes much more pronounced as gay men age. And an older man on the call shared the following. He says, "I am not as socially desirable to be around. As we become older, we become invisible." He suggested that the shadow work for older gay men is to discover that when my beauty fades, what value do I hold? Is it my wisdom? Is it my heart? Is it my maturity? Or all of the above? So we stepped back and into our definitions of shadow, and one man shared that shadow for gay men is the victim, being the victim. It's a role that we play rather well. That there's also, we talked about the best little boy in the world syndrome, this desire to overcompensate, to prove that we're good enough, which is really based on an idea down below that we are intrinsically bad because we are gay. I also believe that there is a light side to this drive toward excellence that indicates that gay men really want to do good in and for the world. This adaptive approach to being told that we're bad, well, we want to be so good. I think that speaks to something deeper within gay men, that we really want to give to the world and be of benefit and service to humanity. Someone else shared that the best way to identify the shadow is to have people close to you tell you about it, tell you about yours. And so I asked, well, what would happen if gay men served this function for each other? And we determined that in order to do so, we really need to come to the process as if we are mirrors and mirroring each other's stuff. We really need to be clean and clear, if we're going to use that metaphor, so that we can reflect back what is actually happening and not our own stuff. And that really requires that we listen fully, and that we be this clean and clear mirror. And to do so, we must love ourselves. So everything always comes back to self-love. And this also requires a sense of vulnerability, being comfortable with your own imperfections in order to be compassionate to another person in their shadow. So we began to talk about how to manage the shadow. And really, awareness became key in our discussion. Understanding our own shadow, how it shows up, how it sabotages us, how we don't even see it, and becoming aware of it. Several men talked about meditation and prayer and even journaling around just getting clear about what are those darker sides of our personal selves that attempt to derail us or cause problems. So one man talked about his own shadow, like how it manifested for him, and he said that for him, his shadow is that voice that says, "I am not good enough." But this voice also allows him to feel empathy for others, and it gives him that sense of compassion. So we determined, in conclusion, that the shadow can contain light and dark elements to it, but that really understanding and managing our own shadow makes us much more compassionate, open beings, so that we can understand, hold the space for others to be human. So thank you for being with me again. It's Tuesday, April 29th, 2014. My name is Ray Rigoglioso, and I am founder of Gay Men of Wisdom.